now it's heating up. We are getting deeper and deeper into our deductive reasoning, and we're verifying conjectures. And this time we're going to use a little bit different law called the Law of Syllogism. Now, this is going to really challenge your thinking. I can say this because it definitely challenges mine. I haven't seen it in a couple of years, but I am looking at it now, and it's starting to sink in a little bit. So if we need to spend some time on this, let me know. We will definitely do that. And we're going to include yet another kind of little wrinkle here, okay? Now, if you look at the Law of Syllogism, it says if you have a statement of P then Q, and then you have another statement Q then R, and they're both true, and then P to R is also true, okay? So what we're doing is we're looking for the logic behind it, okay? We're not necessarily validating that everything's true. What we're looking for is the sequence of logic. Are they applying really good logical reasoning here, okay? So I want to kind of preface, before I jump into example 3, preface it that way, and let's see if we can track. We're going to use 3 different colors this time, okay? We're going to use, of course, the blue color to represent the P part of the statement. We'll do red for Q, and then the third part, let's change it to green. And this is how it shows up in my book, so I'm going to try and emulate the book as much as I can in case you are following along in your book, okay? So let's look at letter A. Let me get back here to blue. If the measure of angle A is less than 90 degrees, okay? So right here, that's going to be our P, okay? Let's change to red. Then angle A is an acute angle, and that's true. Angles that are less than 90 degrees are definitely acute. So right there, there's our very first statement, P then Q, okay? And that ended up being true, and that's great. Now, we have this time, if Q, now remember Q was angle A is acute. Now Q is the hypothesis of your second statement. If Q, then R, let me change to green, then it is not a right angle, okay? So let's take a look at that statement. If angle A is an acute angle, then it's not a right angle. That's correct. There are no acute angles that are right angles. Cannot think of a single counter example there. So we have truth in both of these statements in the given. So now here's our conjecture, okay, that we have to, let's make sure it's actually following, the law of syllogism. Then P, then R should be true statement, okay? So we're back to blue. P, remember, was the statement if the measure of angle A is 90 degrees. Then it's not a right angle, which was R in our previously given statement. Then it's not a right angle. So let's check the veracity of that. Well, angles that are less than 90 degrees cannot be right angles. They have to be acute. Only 90-degree angles are right angles. So that's a true statement. So everything up here is true. It follows a very good pattern. And so I would, say, yeah, they definitely used valid reasoning here to get to their conjecture. It looks very, very sound, okay? Now, we have been given a caution for letter B. It is possible to arrive at a true conclusion by applying invalid logical reasoning. Invalid logical reasoning. So it's not, we're not looking for truth. Yeah, everything's true here. We are looking, are they patterning this well? Is this pattern valid? Is this reasoning good? And that's what we're after, okay? So let's get back to it. Let's stick with our same colors again. All right, so Let me go back to blue. All right. If a number is divisible by 4, so we're going to call that P. P then, and then Q is red, then it is divisible by 2. Okay? So let's take a look at that. If a number is divisible by 4, so, let's say we have a number that actually is divisible by 4, then yeah, it's with standard reason, it would also be divisible by 2. That is truth. So that's good work there. Okay, that looks good. Now, I'm seeing then it is divisible by 2. This Q is showing up on the other side. It's not starting off like it did in the first pattern. See here, up here we did P then Q, and then Q then R. And see how Q kind of connected the P and the R together. That's not what's happening in the second one. And so let me switch to green. If a number is even, so what they did was they did R then Q, and so we're really out of order. Our logic is not, even though the statement is true, you got an even number, it's divisible by 2, that is a true statement, but the logic behind it is not following the law of syllogism. It's P then Q, Q then R. And that's what makes P then R true, okay? And so our conjecture is, so then if a number is divisible by 4, so we're back to blue again, then it is even, okay? So where I see the problem is right here. That second statement kind of threw the whole thing into an invalid reasoning. There's no logical reasoning there. So this is what your book says. The law of syllogism cannot be used to draw a conclusion since Q is the conclusion of both conditionals. See, Q can't be the conclusion to both conditionals. Q needs to be the conclusion to one of the conditionals and the hypothesis of the other. So right here is your problem. And so we would say that this is not valid, even though everything is true. So remember what I said at the outset. I'm not looking for you to determine that everything is true. I am looking for you to determine whether the pattern of reasoning is valid. Is the pattern of reasoning valid? That's what you're after, okay? Now 3, this check it out right here. This one tricks me, so we need to talk about this one. I think it's a little tricky. You may look at it and think it's not, but I thought it was a little bit tricky. So see what you can do with it, and let's talk about it in class tomorrow, okay? Write down some patterns so I can see how you're thinking through this, okay? Good luck with that, and we'll talk about it in class.